Why did Carl Jung believe you will never truly heal until you understand this about your mother? What did he see in the human psyche that made him certain your deepest wounds couldn't mend without facing this uncomfortable truth? Let me tell you something that's going to sting. This video is not comfortable, it's not gentle, and it's definitely not what you want to hear. But it is exactly what you need. Because after decades of studying human psychology, Jung discovered something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You will never heal until you understand this about your mother. Since you were little, you have been taught to look outward to find someone to blame, to put a name and a face to your suffering. And yes, many times that name is your mother's. The woman who raised you, who fed you, who was supposed to protect you. But here's what nobody dares to tell you, what even the most expensive therapist might miss. It's not your mother who still holds you back. It's what your mind did with her. No, this is not a criticism. It's not an attack. It's a truth so uncomfortable that very few dare to name it. The mother lives in your unconscious long after she has left the room. Long after she's gone to sleep, long after she's passed away, long after you've moved to another city or cut off contact. She's still there, operating in the shadows of your psyche. Carl Jung spent decades studying this phenomenon. He wasn't just theorizing from an ivory tower. In one particularly revealing moment, he said something that should shake every person who struggles with their past. The mother archetype forms the foundation of the so-called mother complex. Think about that. Not your actual mother. The archetype, the image, the symbol your unconscious mind created and projected onto her. You have tried to move forward. You've worked hard. You've built a career, maybe started a family, survived crises that would have broken others. But peace doesn't come, does it? Because you're still trapped in a war you don't recognize. Do you know which one? The war against an image, against a figure that is neither flesh nor bone, but shadow. An archetype that settled inside you before you could even speak, before you had words for love or pain or disappointment. And the worst part, this shadow doesn't leave on its own. It doesn't fade with time. It doesn't disappear because you moved away, or because she apologized, or because you told yourself you've forgiven her. The mother complex, that's what Jung called it. And no, it's not just another psychological label to add to your collection of diagnoses. It's an emotional prison with invisible bars. It's that voice that judges you without speaking. It's that emptiness that can't be filled with anything, not success, not love, not achievement, not even your own children. It's that need for approval you've been dragging since childhood, that hunger that never quite gets satisfied, no matter how many people praise you. And the cruelest part is that it's not even yours. It's an inheritance, an echo, a mark on the skin of the soul that was passed down through generations. Your mother carried it from her mother, who carried it from hers. An unbroken chain of unconscious transmission. You may wonder, how do you heal something like this? How do you fight an enemy you can't see, can't name, can't quite grasp? Here's where the real work begins. Because as long as you keep seeing your mother as an all-powerful figure, whether to idolize her or to blame her, you're not seeing your mother. You're seeing a myth, a projection, a distorted image shaped by years of unmet needs, unnamed wounds, and silences loaded with resentment. And you know what's worse. That myth rules your life more than you'd like to admit. Every decision you make seeking approval that never comes. Every relationship that breaks because you expect someone to save you from yourself. Every time you can't set boundaries because some part of you is still that child waiting for permission to exist. All of that has roots much deeper than you think. Those roots are born in your childhood, in a gaze that was missing when you needed it most, in a hug that never came when you were breaking inside, in words that were never said, but desperately needed to be heard. And now you're an adult. You pay bills, you make decisions, you look responsible on the outside. But inside, you're still that child who wanted mom to tell them everything was going to be okay. But here's the most brutal part, the thing that will hurt to hear. It's not going to happen anymore. That moment passed. That ship sailed. Because healing isn't making her change. Healing is stopping waiting for her to do so. Healing your mother wound means accepting that the repair you're waiting for will never come from her. It has to come from you. And that realization is devastating. It feels like a death, like abandoning the last shred of hope that maybe somehow one day she'll understand. One day she'll see you. One day she'll give you what she couldn't give before. They told you that forgiveness is the key, that understanding her is the way, that you must put yourself in her shoes, see her as wounded too, recognize her humanity. And yes, all that can help. But not if you don't first do the most important thing. Look inward and recognize that the wound is no longer anyone else's responsibility. It's yours. Only yours. And no one is coming to heal it for you. Now tell me something. And be honest. How many times have you caught yourself acting exactly like her? How many times have you said the same words that hurt you when you were young? How many times have you done things you swore you would never repeat? Promised yourself you'd be different, and then found yourself in the same patterns? There lies the trap. The complex is not only emotional, it's behavioral. It inhabits you, it guides you. And if you don't make it conscious, and if you don't drag it into the light and look at it directly, it turns you into its repetition. You become the thing you feared, the thing you resented, the thing you ran from. The pattern repeats over and over again until someone has the courage to break it. And breaking it hurts more than you can imagine because it means killing an illusion. It means giving up the hope that one day what wasn't will magically be. It's accepting that there will be no magical repair, that childhood will not return, that the comfort you didn't receive, you'll have to give yourself. Are you willing to do that? Are you ready to stop expecting to be loved the way you needed and start loving yourself as you deserve? Because that's the door. There's no other way through. No shortcut, no bypass. Just this brutal, beautiful truth. The mother in Jung's language is not just the woman who gave you life. She's something far more ancient, far more powerful. She's an archetype, a symbol that exists in the deepest layers of human psychology. Every culture across history has worshipped mother. Goddesses feared devouring mothers, created myths about the great mother who births and destroys. This isn't poetry. This is the structure of the psyche itself. The mother represents origin, security, emotional nourishment, the first bond, the first relationship, the template for all others. But she can also represent suffocation, dependence, the fear of being yourself, of separating, of becoming your own person. And when that archetype isn't integrated, when you haven't done the work to understand it, it becomes a shadow you project onto everything. Your romantic partners become mother substitutes. You expect them to know what you need without asking to read your mind, to comfort you unconditionally. Your bosses trigger the same feelings of never being good enough. Your friends carry the weight of your unspoken needs. You expect someone to save you, to understand you, without you having to explain anything, to care for you the way you should have been cared for as a child. But that's not love. That's lack. That's the gaping hole where emotional nourishment should have been. And lack isn't filled with another person. It's filled with truth, with awareness, with the courage to face what is. Understanding the Carl Jung mother archetype means recognizing that every human being carries this primordial image. It's not personal, it's collective. It's older than your mother, older than her mother, older than civilization itself. And your personal mother was simply the first person onto whom you projected this massive archetypal energy. Think about it. How would she ever live up to that? How could any human woman carry the weight of the great mother archetype without cracking under the pressure? She couldn't. She was just a person flawed and wounded, doing her best with limited resources and her own unhealed pain. The first step toward freedom is to stop idealizing her. She wasn't perfect. She wasn't a goddess. She wasn't even the demon you sometimes feel she was. She was a human being, broken and wounded, fighting her own internal battles that you couldn't see, carrying burdens you never knew existed. She did what she could with what she had, and sometimes what she had was very little. That doesn't excuse the damage. It doesn't make the pain disappear, but it explains it. And by understanding this, something begins to loosen inside you. Not as an act of forced forgiveness, not as spiritual bypassing, but as a liberating understanding. Because idealization is as toxic as resentment. Both keep you trapped in fantasy. Both take you away from reality. The reality is this: you don't need a mother anymore. You're not 5 years old. You don't need someone to feed you, to protect you from the world, to make all your decisions. What you need now is a stronger you, a more compassionate you, a more aware you. And that version of you doesn't appear by itself like magic. You have to build it consciously and deliberately, brick by brick. Do you want to know how? Start by observing your reactions, not judging them, not trying to fix them immediately, just watching them like a scientist watching an experiment. Every time you feel rejected, pause and ask yourself, who am I really seeing right now? The person in front of me or the wound I haven't healed yet? Am I responding to what's actually happening or reacting to something that happened 20 years ago? Every time you demand unconditional love from someone, ask yourself, do I want love or do I want repair? Am I seeking a relationship or am I seeking a time machine to fix the past? Every time you abandon yourself so another person won't leave you, ask yourself, who abandoned me first and why am I still doing it to myself? This is the work. This is what healing your mother wound actually looks like. Not affirmations in the mirror, not crystals and sage, not pretending everything is fine, but this uncomfortable, honest, sometimes brutal examination of how the past lives in your present. Healing isn't linear. It's not pretty. It's not an Instagram post with a sunset background and an inspirational quote. It's a descent into your own personal underworld. It's an uncomfortable conversation with your inner child, with all the parts of you that got left behind, that got silenced, that learned to hide to survive. It's looking at the memories you buried because they were too painful to process. It's reliving them, feeling them fully for the first time, and then only then letting them go. And yes, sometimes that child inside you cries, but other times it screams in rage. It sabotages you when you get too close to happiness because happiness wasn't safe in childhood. It gets angry because it has been waiting too long to be heard, to be seen, to matter. Let it. Give it space. Don't try to silence it with cheap self-help phrases and empty positivity. Don't cover it up with spiritual bypassing, with everything happens for a reason or it made you stronger. Just listen. Ask that child what it needed. Ask it what it still needs. And then here's the revolutionary part. Give it to yourself. Self-compassion isn't weakness. It's medicine. It's the only balm that works when everything else has failed, when all the strategies and defenses and coping mechanisms have run their course. And to practice it, you need courage. Real courage. Not the courage to face external dangers, but the courage to face yourself. Because there's a part of you that has learned to despise itself, to blame itself, to demand impossible standards from itself, to repeat the same punishment that was once imposed by others. And that part is running your life, making your decisions, sabotaging your relationships, keeping you small and safe and suffering. Break that cycle. Re-educating yourself emotionally isn't just reading books about psychology or watching videos about Carl Jung archetypes. It's seeing yourself with new eyes. It's creating new responses to old triggers. It's stopping the search for mothers in all the wrong places. Because here's what I need you to understand clearly. The world won't give you what you didn't receive in childhood. It's not designed for that. The world doesn't care that you needed more affection, more attention, more validation. The world will demand from you, judge you, ignore you, use you if you let it. And there in the middle of that chaos, you have to build yourself from the inside out. You have to become your own source of stability, your own safe place, your own first responder when things fall apart. Emotional freedom begins when you stop repeating the pattern. When you choose differently, even when it's terrifying. When you realize you're no longer 5 years old, locked in that house with no escape. You're no longer trapped. You no longer depend on someone else's mood to determine your worth. You no longer need permission to be yourself, to want what you want, to say no, to take up space. But there's a part of you that still believes you do, that still hopes for that permission, that still silently begs for approval from people who remind you of her. That part isn't to blame for existing. It was created to survive an impossible situation. But you do have the responsibility to heal it now. Do it. Not tomorrow when you feel ready. Not next year when you have more money for therapy. Not when your mother finally apologizes or understands or changes. Do it now. Because if you wait to feel prepared, you'll never start. You'll spend your whole life waiting for the right moment, and the right moment is always now. Healing doesn't come when everything is calm and perfect and aligned. It comes in the middle of noise, of chaos, of fear. It comes when you're barely holding on, when you think you can't take one more step. That's when transformation happens. And when it comes, it doesn't feel like you expected. It doesn't feel like enlightenment or peace or joy. It feels like loss, like emptiness, like a strange silence where all the familiar noise used to be. Because healing is also letting go of a part of you that you knew very well, even if that part was destroying you. It's saying goodbye to the victim role that gave you an identity. It's stopping waiting and starting acting. Does it hurt? Absolutely. But staying where you are hurts more. Living another 10 years, 20 years carrying this weight, repeating these patterns, wondering why nothing ever changes. That pain is worse because it's endless, purposeless, going nowhere. So look at yourself. Really look. Not in the mirror, but deeper. Ask yourself honestly, what part of my suffering still belongs to that inner figure I call mother? What part is the real woman, and what part is the myth I created, and how much longer am I willing to let it control me? Make peace, not with her necessarily. Make peace with yourself, with the child you were, with the adult you're becoming, with the reality of what happened and what will never happen. Because in the end, the most important mother isn't the one who raised you. It's the one you choose to be with yourself. And that one, that internal mother who can hold you when you break, who can speak kindly when you fail, who can set boundaries when you need them, that one is yet to be born. She's waiting for you to create her. If this is hitting home, let me know below. Write, I see the pattern. Because what's coming next will shake everything you thought you knew about yourself and your mother. Stay with me. Now that you're here, after daring to look at what others prefer to ignore, let me take you even deeper. Because there's something we haven't touched yet. A darker layer, more hidden, more treacherous than anything we've discussed so far. The invisible loyalty. Yes, you heard that right. A loyalty you didn't choose, didn't consciously agree to, but that directs your life as if you had an invisible string tied to your soul, pulling you back every time you try to move forward. No matter how much progress you make, how many books about human psychology you read, how many hours of therapy you complete. If you don't understand this principle, you'll always come back to the same point. You'll sabotage yourself right at the edge of breakthrough. You'll choose suffering over success. You'll recreate the familiar pain rather than step into unfamiliar joy. Want to know what this secret trap is? Want to know why healing your mother wound seems impossible even when you're doing everything right? Your unconscious believes that if you surpass your mother, you betray her. Read that again. Let it sink in. That's how perverse the game is. That's how deep the programming goes. And don't think about it logically. This isn't reasoned. This isn't a conscious choice. It's felt in your bones, imprinted deep inside your emotional system, wired into your nervous system before you had language to question it. Because you grew up learning that your identity was tied to hers. That what she lived, what she suffered, what she believed, you also had to carry. You absorbed her disappointments, her unfulfilled dreams, her limitations. You made them yours without realizing it. Without anyone saying it explicitly, you made a pact. A silent pact. An invisible promise that says, I won't be better than you, Mom. I won't be freer than you. I won't be happier. I won't fully heal if you didn't do it first. I'll stay stuck with you so you're not alone in your pain. Do you see the prison now? Do you see how it's been operating all this time? And the most terrifying part is that this prison looks like love. It feels like devotion. It masquerades as loyalty and respect. We're not talking about hate or anger. We're talking about an unconscious fidelity that chains you to her pain, her frustration, her limits, her unlived life. Jung understood this deeply when he said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." That's why you repeat stories you don't understand. That's why you make choices that don't make sense. That's why every time you're about to achieve something bigger, something truly yours, you sabotage yourself. Because a part of you deep in the unconscious says, if I'm happy and she wasn't, and then I'm being disloyal. If I succeed where she failed, I'm betraying her. If I break free while she stayed trapped, I'm abandoning her. But here's the brutal truth that will set you free if you let it. Your pain doesn't honor her. Your stagnation doesn't save her. Your unhappiness doesn't repair her unlived life. Your suffering doesn't make her suffering mean something more. So why do you keep carrying what doesn't belong to you? Why do you keep paying rent on someone else's prison? There's a scene that repeats in thousands of wounded souls in every culture, every generation. The child who doesn't allow themselves to live fully, so as not to hurt the feelings of a mother who's no longer here, or who was never really emotionally present, even when she was physically there. It's as if deep down you want to tell her, "Look, Mom, I suffer too. So you're not alone in your sadness. I'll keep you company in the darkness because leaving you there feels like the ultimate betrayal." And that invisible loyalty, that unconscious solidarity with her suffering, that's what's killing you. That's what's keeping you small. That's why you can't seem to move forward no matter how hard you try. The real betrayal isn't leaving her story behind. The real betrayal is continuing to repeat it. Because if you really love her, if you really want to free yourself without dishonoring her memory or your relationship, then there's something you must understand at the deepest level. Honoring the mother is surpassing her, not as an act of ego, not as rejection, not as revenge for what she couldn't give you, but as evolution, as transformation, as the natural order of growth. She gave you life. Now your job is to multiply it, not reduce it. To take that inherited pain and turn it into something new, into awareness, into transformation, into authentic living. To break the cycle so the next generation doesn't have to carry what you've been carrying. But for that, you need to break the secret vow. The one you made before you could even speak. The one that lives in your body, in your cells, in your automatic responses. The one that says, I won't be freer than you. I won't heal if you couldn't heal. I won't succeed if you didn't succeed. break that promise. But do it with love, not with anger. Do it with compassion, not with resentment. Tell her in the silence of your own heart, even if she's no longer alive or can't hear you. Mom, thank you for what you could give me. Thank you for bringing me into this world, for the moments you did try, for the love you were capable of. But now I follow a different path. Not away from you, but toward myself. And that path is not toward resentment. It's toward freedom. Because as long as you live trapped in that hidden fidelity, as long as that unconscious loyalty runs the show, everything in your life will become repetition. You will repeat her fears. You will repeat her relationship patterns. You will repeat her frustrations. You will repeat her way of loving that isn't quite love. You will repeat her inability to set boundaries. You will repeat her need to be accepted at any cost. You will repeat her guilt. You will repeat her sacrifice. You will repeat her pain, and you will do it without knowing it. You'll think you're making your own choices, but you'll be following an invisible script written generations ago. Have you realized how many decisions in your life have been guided by that shadow? Maybe that's why you can't tolerate rejection. It triggers the old wound of not being enough for her. Maybe that's why you feel guilty when things go well for you. Success means you've surpassed her, broken the pact. Maybe that's why you choose partners who make you feel small. It keeps you in the familiar territory of not being seen, not being valued, just like childhood. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you're being loyal to an unconscious agreement that your survival depended on following. But that loyalty has a very high price. Your life, your joy, your freedom, your authentic self. And if you dare to question it, if you dare to look it in the face, if you dare to say, no more, something opens up. A void appears. A strange silence settles where the old noise used to be. Because for the first time, you're separating your identity from hers. For the first time, you're saying, I am not you and you are not me. We are separate beings with separate destinies. And that for the child you were feels like abandonment. It feels like the worst kind of betrayal. It feels like you're killing something sacred. But for the adult, you can become that separation is birth. That's where everything truly begins. That's where your actual life starts, not the life you inherited, not the life you were supposed to live to complete her unlived dreams, but your life. And it's not about cutting off the relationship. It's not about blaming her or making her wrong. It's about redefining the relationship within you. It's about reorganizing the internal space she occupies in your psyche. Because even if your mother was the most loving or the coldest or the most absent or the most overprotective, what matters now is not who she actually was. What matters is the place you have given her in your psyche, in your sense of self, in your internal world. And that place, if you don't organize it consciously, becomes either an altar or a prison. Either you idealize her to the point where no one else can ever measure up, or you enslave yourself to her through resentment and blame. But both are the same thing underneath. Both are distortions. Both keep you from seeing clearly. The only way to heal is to dismantle the fantasy. And that fantasy takes many forms. The martyr mother who sacrificed everything. The perfect mother who never made mistakes. The all-knowing mother who had all the answers. The omnipresent mother who was always there. But none of those figures is real. They're constructions of your mind myths that prevent you from seeing the essential truth that she was also a daughter. That she also dragged her own ghosts. That she was also a victim of her context, her time, her own mother's wounds. That she also loved as well as she could. That she also failed, struggled, suffered. And you are not here to repeat her destiny. You are not here to complete what she couldn't finish. You are not here to live the life she didn't get to live. You are here for something bigger, to transform that emotional inheritance into wisdom, to make the unconscious conscious as Jung taught, to close a cycle so that your children, if you have them or will have them, don't carry what you're carrying now. Because what truly gets inherited isn't genes or money or physical traits. What gets inherited is unresolved patterns, undigested emotions, silenced traumas, the weight of everything that was never said, never processed, never healed. And here comes the most important part of this entire journey. You cannot change the past. You cannot go back and get the mother you needed. You cannot repair what happened or didn't happen. But you can change how the past lives inside you. You can change the meaning you give it. You can change what you do with it. Do it. Not for her, for you. You don't need to break up with your mother. You need to break up with the distorted archetype you carry inside. You need to dismantle the voice that judges you every time you shine. You need to question the guilt you feel every time you choose yourself over others' expectations. And that liberation is not against her. It's for you. It's for your life. It's for your freedom. It's for the generations that come after you. Because the original wound doesn't define your destiny. What defines your destiny is what you do with that wound. How you transform it, how you integrate it, how you use it to become more human, more compassionate, more whole. So here's the question that matters. How much longer will you keep paying homage to a pattern that no longer serves you? How much longer will you live dragging a story that you didn't even start, that was handed to you before you could question it? The time has come to turn that inherited pain into your engine, to stop merely surviving and start actually living. But for that, you need one thing above all else: courage. Courage to let go of the loyalty. Courage to rebuild yourself without that figure who either gave you everything or denied you everything, but either way, defined too much of who you became. Courage to look in the mirror and say, now I am the one who takes care of me. Now I write my own story. And when you do that, when you truly choose yourself, when you free yourself from that invisible chain, then and only then will you truly honor your mother. Not by staying stuck where she was stuck, but by breaking free, by living the life she maybe wished she could have lived. Because the greatest tribute you can give to the one who gave you life is to actually live it. Fully, freely, authentically, without the weight of her unlived dreams crushing you, without the ghost of her disappointments haunting your choices. That's the real meaning of understanding your mother's psychology. Not to analyze her, not to diagnose her, but to separate yourself from her psychologically so you can love her humanly if you choose to without losing yourself in the process. And just when you think you've let go, when you think you've finally broken that internal loyalty, when you believe you're free, something else appears. Something more subtle, harder to detect, more treacherous in its disguise. Emotional self-abandonment. And yes, it's directly linked to that mother archetype, still living in your shadow, still operating beneath your conscious awareness, still running programs you didn't know were installed. Because what does a child do when they don't receive the emotional care they need, when their feelings are dismissed, when their needs are inconvenient, when their very existence feels like a burden? They adapt. They learn. They shut themselves down. They learn to ignore their own needs, to repress what they feel, to pretend it doesn't hurt. They become experts at abandoning themselves before anyone else can abandon them. And that survival skill, that brilliant adaptation that kept you safe in childhood, becomes years later your way of life. It becomes so automatic you don't even notice you're doing it. Have you noticed how you treat yourself? How you talk to yourself when no one else is listening? How you demand from yourself what you would never demand from someone you actually love? That's no coincidence. That's not just low self-esteem or negative thinking. It's the continuation of the same pattern you learned at her knee. It's the way that poorly integrated archetype expresses itself inside you, turning you into your own harshest critic, your own coldest judge. You yourself reproducing the abandonment you lived. But now from within. Now with your own voice. Now with your own hands. And here comes the most brutal knot of this story, the thing that makes healing so difficult. No one is hurting you now. Your mother isn't in the room. She's not controlling your choices. She's not criticizing every move you make. You are the one who keeps hurting yourself in the name of old programming. You are the one who abandoned yourself before anyone else could. You are the one repeating the script. Every time you deny yourself rest, because rest is weakness. Every time you minimize your pain, because others have it worse. Every time you betray yourself to avoid making others uncomfortable. Every time you accept the unacceptable out of fear of not being loved, you're running the same program. The program that says, if I ignore my needs, maybe they'll love me. If I'm small enough, quiet enough, undemanding enough, maybe I'll be acceptable. If I abandon myself first, at least I control it. Do you know what that means? You learn to survive by ceasing to exist emotionally. You learned that your feelings didn't matter, that your needs were burdens, that you were too much or not enough, or both, somehow at the same time. And that is a slow massacre, invisible to everyone around you, silent in its operation, destroying you from the inside out. You have become your own authoritarian figure, the one who doesn't let you cry because crying is weak, the one who demands you be strong when you're breaking, the one who pushes you to perform, to give, to hold everyone up except yourself, the one who says your pain isn't valid, your needs aren't important, your exhaustion is just laziness. And you know what's the most twisted thing about this pattern? The more you abandon yourself, the more desperately you expect someone else to come rescue you. The more you ignore your own needs, the more you resent others for not meeting them. The more you betray yourself, the more you search for someone who won't betray you. But that won't happen. It can't happen. Because no one can give you what you're not giving yourself. No one can value you more than you value yourself. No one can meet needs you haven't acknowledged you have. So here's the real revolution, the actual transformation that changes everything. Start taking care of yourself like no one ever did. Be your own internal mother, the one you needed, the one you deserved, the one who shows up even when it's hard. Re-educate yourself from scratch. Learn to give yourself the affection you were denied. Learn to give yourself permission to feel without judgment, to rest, without guilt, to need, without shame. Learn to speak to yourself tenderly when you fall, instead of with cruelty. Learn to not demand perfection when you only need comfort. And yes, at first it sounds strange. It feels awkward. It might even feel fake. Because for years, for decades, you've been used to the whip, to the criticism, to the emotional coldness, to the voice that says you're never enough. But none of that is yours. It's borrowed software. It's a system you inherited, not because it works, not because it's true, but because it was all you knew. It was the water you swam in the air. You breathed the only model of how to treat yourself that you ever saw. Do you want to break that cycle? Do you want to actually heal instead of just understanding? Start by asking yourself this: how would I treat a child who just went through what I went through? What would I say to them if I saw them exhausted, worn out, on the verge of breaking? Would I push them harder, tell them they're weak, demand more from them, or would I hold them, speak gently, tell them it's okay to rest, tell them they've done enough, tell them they matter just because they exist? And now realize truly, let this sink in. The child is you. Yes, even today. Even if you're 30, 40, 50 years old, even if you've hardened yourself, even if you seem to have it all under control, even if everyone thinks you're strong, that child is still there, still waiting, still hoping that someone will finally see them, hold them, tell them they're enough exactly as they are. But no one is coming. Not in the way you imagine. Not the perfect savior who will undo all the damage and make everything okay. Because it's not about finding the perfect person to rescue you. It's about becoming the figure you needed. It's about being for yourself what no one else was. And this is not cheap mysticism or positive thinking or affirmations in the mirror. This is deep psychology. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And this applies here with devastating accuracy. If you don't make your self-abandonment conscious, if you don't see it operating, if you don't interrupt the pattern, you will repeat it in every relationship, every job, every decision. You will live from scarcity, from emotional hunger, from the need to be saved, while simultaneously making yourself impossible to save. And the paradox is this: you only stop needing to be saved when you become your own refuge. You only stop abandoning yourself when you consciously choose to stay with yourself, especially when it's hard, especially when you don't like yourself, especially when you've failed. Difficult. Of course. Because no one taught you how to do this. They taught you to compete, to perform, to prove yourself worthy. They taught you to be productive and useful and valuable to others. But they didn't teach you to hold your own inner world with compassion. They didn't teach you to embrace your own shadows without judgment. And here we come to another forgotten piece, another layer of this wound that needs to be seen, the negative inner mother, that voice you carry inside that is not actually yours. The one that tells you you're not enough, that you're always late, that you don't deserve good things, that you need to do more, be more, prove more. The one that says you shouldn't feel what you feel, want what you want, need what you need. That voice is not you, but you have adopted it as if it were your conscience, your truth, your inner wisdom. And it's not. It's an internalized figure, a distorted archetypal energy that occupies the space where self-compassion should live. And until you dismantle it, you will live believing that your worst enemy is you, that you're the problem, that if you could just be better, different, more perfect, then everything would be okay. But you're not the enemy. You're not the problem. You're just repeating what you learned. You're just running inherited programs. You're just being loyal to a way of being that was never truly yours. So how do you dismantle it? Not by fighting it, not by trying to positive think your way out of it, not by covering it up with empty affirmations that ring hollow, by listening to it, by observing it, by getting curious about it. Because what you resist persists and grows stronger. But what you observe with awareness begins to transform. The next time that critical voice appears, don't run from it. Don't try to silence it. Don't drown it out with distractions or substances or busyness. Stop and look at it clearly. Ask it, where do you come from? Who do you belong to? What are you repeating that isn't even mine? Whose voice is this really? And you will see. You will see the threads connecting back. You will see the origin. You will see that it's not your authentic voice at all. It's an echo, a recording, a ghost. And in that moment, something inside you will awaken, not like a mystical illumination with angels singing, but like a brutal clarity, a sobering realization. You will see that you've lived trapped in a discourse you never questioned, following rules you never agreed to, judging yourself by standards that were never fair or true. And when you question it, when you see it clearly, you begin to reclaim your power. That is the true psychological awakening that changes lives. Not mantras, not gurus, not magic pills or quick fixes. But this moment, this recognition, the instant you stop being the unconscious echo of your childhood and become the conscious author of your adult life. But listen carefully, don't confuse this with toxic positivity. Don't think this means ignoring the pain or pretending everything is fine or covering wounds with pretty words. It's not about ignoring pain. It's about taking responsibility for your own healing. It's about seeing yourself without filters or defenses. It's about stopping the endless wait for someone to fill your emptiness and instead beginning to fill it yourself with small, conscious, daily actions. Want a practical guide? Here it is. Start by not abandoning yourself when you need yourself most. When you're tired, actually tired in your bones, don't push through. Rest. Give yourself permission to stop. When you're sad, don't judge yourself for being weak. Sit with the sadness. Accompany yourself through it. When you feel afraid, don't shame yourself for not being brave enough. Listen to the fear. Ask it what it's protecting you from. That is the new language, the new internal motherhood, the new emotional structure that breaks centuries of inherited patterns, generations of self-abandonment, lifetimes of learned cruelty toward the self. And I know this all sounds immense, overwhelming, impossible. But remember, you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it differently than before. Because if you don't break the cycle, no one will do it for you. The change you so desperately want isn't outside. It's not in the perfect partner or the perfect job or the perfect life circumstances. It's in every inner gesture, every small choice to be kind to yourself. Every time you choose to take care of yourself, even when you don't feel like it, even when the old voice says you don't deserve it. Every boundary you set, even if your voice trembles. Every no you say to others so you can say yes to yourself. That is the true act of love. Self-love born not from narcissism, but from recognition. From finally seeing yourself as worthy of care, of tenderness, of compassion. And that whether you realize it or not is an act of revolution. Because in a world that teaches you to demand more from yourself, to punish yourself for imperfection, to compare yourself endlessly to others, choosing to treat yourself with tenderness is subversive. It's looking your family history in the eyes and saying, "With me, the pattern breaks." Not because I'm better than those who came before. Not because I'm stronger. Not because I'm special, but because I've decided to wake up. Because I've chosen awareness over autopilot. Because I've chosen to stop passing down pain and start passing down wisdom. And when you wake up like this, nothing can put you back to sleep. Not the old judgment, not the inherited guilt, not that ancient voice that used to paralyze you with shame. Because you no longer walk through life seeking approval from others to feel okay. You walk from within, from a new route, a route built consciously with awareness, with boundaries, with real love. Not a love that demands and controls, not a love that sacrifices and resents, but a love that sustains, that respects, that cares without losing itself. The kind of love you should have always received. The kind you can now give yourself. And that even if it doesn't seem like much is the true inheritance worth leaving behind for anyone whose life you touch. And when you get this far, when you've traveled through all these layers, something inside you has already changed. You don't need anyone to confirm it. You don't need a certificate or applause or external validation. You feel it. It's there. That subtle vibration that appears when you've looked at something you've been avoiding your whole life. It's that strange mix between emptiness and power, between grief and rebirth, between ending and beginning. Because the end of this entire journey isn't a magical moment of enlightenment. It isn't internal applause or suddenly having all the answers. It's silence. A new kind of silence. A clean silence. because finally you dared to break the noise of what was inherited. The constant chatter of inherited beliefs, ancient judgments, voices that were never yours, but that you carried anyway. Now you understand why for so many years you didn't know who you really were beneath all the conditioning. Why it was so hard to be at peace with yourself. Why you could never quite settle into your own skin. Because you lived inhabited by voices that weren't yours, burdened by needs that weren't born with you, reacting from a pain that came from generations ago, passed down like heirlooms worn like invisible chains. But no more. What remains now is yours. Your space, your identity, your voice, your choices, your life. And here's what's most interesting. It's not that you're going to live without wounds from now on. It's not that everything suddenly becomes perfect or easy or painless. It's that for the first time, you will live with your wounds consciously. You'll know where they came from. You'll understand how they operate. You'll see them coming before they take over. And that changes everything. Because wounds aren't the problem. Pain isn't the enemy. The problem is living unconsciously, running away from pain, pretending wounds don't exist, hoping that if you don't name them, they'll somehow disappear. But they don't disappear. They just operate in the shadows, controlling you without your awareness, making your decisions for you, keeping you small and scared and stuck. Wounds transform when you look at them, when you speak about them honestly, when you move through them instead of around them. And at that final crossing right there in the center of your pain, when you stop running, something is born. Your true emotional maturity, not the kind based on controlling everything or pretending to be strong or displaying cold indifference, but the kind that accepts that inside you coexist broken parts and wise parts, parts that still cry and parts that have learned to hold themselves. Do you know what that means? You have crossed the threshold, that point of no return where you stop being a symbolic child of the past forever, waiting for what should have been and become the symbolic parent of your present. You no longer live from what was missing. You no longer organize your entire life around filling that old emptiness. You live from what you consciously choose to create. And that is a power very few people ever reach. Because it requires courage of a particular kind. Not the courage to face external dangers or fight visible enemies, but the courage to face yourself without flinching. Brutal honesty with yourself. Willingness to see what you'd rather keep hidden. And an almost wild determination to let go of excuses, justifications, inherited fears, and begin to truly live from the inside out. Not from the echo of an ancient story, not from the script that was handed to you, not from the role you were assigned, but from your own authentic truth. And now that you know this, now that you've seen it clearly, what are you going to do with it? Because here the video ends, but the important part is just beginning. The invisible part, the part no one else will see but you will feel every single day. In every choice you make, in every new way you treat yourself, every time you don't automatically repeat the pattern, every time you choose from awareness rather than from lack or fear or old programming. And that even if no one applauds it, even if no one notices, is a form of freedom that cannot be bought or given. It can only be earned through this kind of inner work. So I leave you with one last thought. One that maybe sums up everything you just heard, but says it in new words. A phrase to keep, to remember, to return to when you forget. When self-love is born from healed pain, when it emerges not from ego, but from recognition, it stops being a trendy concept and becomes a silent revolution. And if you've come this far, if you've stayed through all of this, then make it clear. I want to know who you are. I want to know who among you doesn't just watch, but dares to actually feel every word. Write down below, I am the end of the pattern. Because if you made it to the end, you're no longer the same person who started this video. You've seen what others don't even dare to look at. You've faced truths most people spend their entire lives avoiding. And if this shook you, if it made you think, if it touched some sleeping part of you that's been waiting to wake up, then subscribe. Not for me, for you. Because we don't gather here to entertain egos or make you feel good with empty words. We gather here to awaken consciousness, to do the real work of transformation, to face what's true even when it's uncomfortable. And the journey is just beginning. Your journey, the one only you can take. As this year closes and a new one begins, may you gift yourself the freedom you've always deserved. Not perfection, which doesn't exist. Not all the answers, which you'll never have. But presence. Honest questions. The courage to be yourself even when it's terrifying. Happy holidays to those brave enough to break the pattern. To those willing to do the hard work of healing. To those who understand that the greatest gift you can give yourself is your own devoted attention. Turn on that bell, because what's coming will continue to challenge you, shake you, free you. See you in the next video. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll be too busy rebuilding yourself from the inside out. Either way, I'm glad you made it here. To this moment, to this recognition, to yourself. Now go. Do something that scares you a little. Talk to yourself like you never have before. Sit in silence for 10 minutes without distracting yourself. Cry if you need to. Laugh if it comes. Or just look at yourself in the mirror for 10 seconds without judgment. Just 10. That's enough to start. Because when you change the way you treat yourself, when you truly shift that internal relationship, the world changes the way it responds to you. Not magically, but naturally. Because you're finally showing up as yourself. And if you don't believe it, try it. But do it from that deep place. From where you no longer need anyone to save you. From where you finally know the truth. The savior you've been waiting for is you. It always was. It always will be. Until the next time we meet here, may you live without repeating what broke you. May you choose yourself again and again. May the pattern end with you. See you soon. Or maybe you'll be too transformed to recognize yourself. Either way, welcome home. Welcome to yourself, finally.